Beloved, there are nights when our pillows are soaked with tears, when no words can describe the pain that presses heavy on our hearts. There are moments when we look at life and whisper, Lord, why me? Why this valley? Why this silence? Maybe you are in that place right now, carrying wounds nobody else can see. People may smile at you on the outside, but inside you feel shattered and forgotten. But hear me today, God has not abandoned you. Your tears are not wasted. Every drop that falls from your weary eyes is seen by the one who created you. The Lord has promised that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Even now, in your darkest hour, He is preparing a dawn for you. There are seasons in life when the soul feels so heavy that words cannot even come out of the mouth, and only tears can express the cry of the heart. In those quiet moments, when no one sees, when no one hears, and when no one understands, you may feel invisible, but you are not forgotten. The tears that fall down your cheeks are not wasted. They are seen by the God who made you. He is the Father who bends low to catch every drop. And though people may overlook your pain, the Lord gathers it carefully, as if it were the most precious treasure. Every tear holds a story. Every tear carries weight. And every tear is remembered in heaven. They are not marks of weakness, but signs that you are still fighting, still longing, still believing that beyond the pain there is a God who cares. Your tears are not a language of despair, but a prayer that reaches higher than words ever could. The Lord has promised that He is near to the brokenhearted, and in His presence, even the deepest grief is not ignored. Many people try to hide their tears, thinking it shows weakness. But tears are not weakness, they are sacred. They reveal that the heart has not turned to stone, but still feels, still loves, and still longs for something greater. God sees when you cry alone in your room, when you drive your car with tears clouding your vision, and when you close your eyes at night, silently hoping that tomorrow will be different. Every tear is noticed, and not a single one escapes His attention. In the book of Psalms, it is written that He stores our tears in a bottle. A poetic way of saying that none of our pain is forgotten. What others dismiss as small, the Lord holds as eternal evidence of your journey and your faith. Your tears are seeds that water the soil of tomorrow's joy, and though right now they feel like rivers of sorrow, they are paving the way for streams of refreshing in the future. God values every tear because behind them is a soul reaching for Him. When you are misunderstood by people, when you pour out your heart and still feel unheard, tears become the secret place where you meet with God. They are prayers without words, groans without sentences, and yet they carry more weight in heaven than eloquent speeches. You may think you are weak when you weep, but the truth is, heaven listens closely when the broken-hearted cry. Angels are not moved by pride or strong faces. They are stirred when a heart is poured out in honesty before the Father. Every tear you have shed in silence is like incense rising before the throne of God, creating a fragrance that is unforgettable. The world teaches us to hide our pain, to smile and pretend, but God invites us to weep before Him, because He knows that tears are not signs of defeat, but steps toward healing. When you cannot find the right words, let your tears speak, for they are already heard by the one who loves you beyond measure. Sometimes the weight of life feels unbearable, and tears flow not just from sadness but from exhaustion. You cry because you are tired of fighting battles that seem endless, tired of carrying burdens that seem too heavy, tired of waiting for answers that feel delayed. In these moments, it is easy to believe that nobody sees or cares. But God is watching. He is not indifferent to your suffering. He bends close when you cry, and though you may not feel His touch, His Spirit is comforting you in ways deeper than your understanding. Your tears are not only noticed, but they are interpreted. He knows exactly what each tear means, whether it is the cry of loneliness, the groan of grief, or the ache of disappointment. To others, tears may look alike, but to God, every drop has meaning, every drop has language, and every drop is a prayer he responds to. The tears of his children are never ignored, and one day he has promised to wipe them away with his own hand. Think about how precious you must be to God if he takes the time to collect your tears. People may forget your words, dismiss your struggles, and overlook your pain. But God keeps record of every moment you have cried. This means that nothing in your life has been wasted. Not even the nights when you thought your life was over. Not even the moments when you felt abandoned. Not even the silent tears you shed in the middle of the day while putting on a brave face. Each tear is a reminder that you are still alive, still breathing, still enduring. Each tear is proof that your heart is still capable of hope. Even in the midst of brokenness, when you feel forgotten, remember that your tears are in his memory, and they are not forgotten. The world may see them as weakness, but in the eyes of God, they are precious jewels stored in heaven's treasury. He values them because they came from you, his beloved child, and he will turn them into a testimony of his faithfulness. One day, when the morning of joy arrives, you will understand why he allowed the nights of weeping. You will see how every tear that fell was part of a greater plan, how every drop watered the soil for your breakthrough, and how every sorrow was transformed into strength. Tears are not the end of your story, they are the ink God uses to write your testimony. The same eyes that wept in darkness will one day shine with light, and the same heart that cried in despair will overflow with laughter. Your tears will not only bring healing for yourself, but will also become a source of encouragement for others who are still in their valleys. When they see how God restored you, they will find courage to believe that he can do the same for them. Your tears are part of a bigger picture, and though you may not see it now, they are the evidence that you are walking a journey that heaven celebrates. God is faithful, and not a single tear has been in vain. There are moments in life when the night feels longer than the day, when every prayer seems to echo back in silence, and faith is tested in the furnace of waiting. It is indeed times that hope feels fragile, like a flickering flame struggling against the wind. Yet, even in the silence, God is working. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to believe despite it. Hope is not built on what we see, but on the promises of the one who never fails. To restore hope, the heart must learn to lean on faith, to look beyond the storm, and trust that the sun will rise again. Every promise of God is an anchor, and when the winds of life rage, it is faith that keeps the soul steady. Hope comes alive not by sight, but by believing that the one who spoke the stars into existence is still in control of every detail of your life. Faith is like a seed buried in the soil of uncertainty. At first, it looks as though nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, life is stirring. Hope begins to rise when you refuse to give up, even when the ground looks barren. Every prayer, every whispered cry, every tear shed in faith is watering that seed. Just because you do not see the breakthrough yet does not mean it is not coming. God restores hope by teaching us to wait in trust, not in fear. Waiting is not wasted time, it is preparation. In the waiting, faith grows stronger, roots grow deeper, and hope is refined like gold. When you cling to faith during delay, you are building a foundation that cannot be shaken. And though it feels painful, though your heart aches with longing, hope is quietly being restored, shaped by the unseen hand of God. When faith rises, hope follows. Even in the darkest valley, faith whispers that light will break through. Hope restored through faith is not shallow optimism, but assurance that God's promises are unshakable. Abraham hoped against hope because he believed the one who promised was faithful. That same God looks at your life today and reminds you that your story is not over. Faith lifts your eyes from your problems and fixes them on the Lord of miracles. Hope is restored when you stop measuring God's ability by your circumstances and start measuring your circumstances by God's ability. Faith declares, even here, even now, God is able. Hope declares what is broken can be restored. Together, they become the lifeline that carries you through seasons of despair. God does not need favorable conditions to bring your miracle. He only needs your faith to believe in Him. There are days when faith feels small, when all you can muster is a whisper of prayer or a sigh of longing. Yet even the smallest seed of faith can birth the greatest hope. God never asks for perfection, only for trust. When you place even your trembling faith into His hands, He breathes life into it. Hope is restored when you stop relying on your strength and start relying on His power. Faith reminds you that the valley is not permanent, the storm is not forever, and the night cannot stop the morning. Hope restored through faith is not about ignoring the pain, but about believing that the pain has purpose. The tears you shed in faith are not wasted. They are building the testimony that will one day strengthen others. Faith is the bridge between despair and restoration, and every step you take on that bridge brings you closer to hope renewed. Hope through faith often requires us to let go of what we cannot control. It is in surrender that strength is found. Faith teaches us to trust even when we cannot trace God's hand. When you choose faith in the middle of confusion, hope begins to rise like dawn breaking after a long night. The enemy may whisper that it is over, but faith says it is not finished until God says it is finished. Hope is restored when you realize that your circumstances do not dictate your destiny. Faith is the light that guides you forward, reminding you that what you see now is temporary, but what God has promised is eternal. Hope does not deny reality, but looks beyond it, trusting that the one who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. In faith, your brokenness becomes the place where hope is born anew. As faith strengthens the heart, hope begins to flow like a river, washing away despair and renewing courage. Restored hope does not always come in an instant. Sometimes it is a slow and gentle rising. But when it comes, it changes everything. Hope tells you that you are not forgotten, that your prayers have been heard, and that your future is still secure in God's hands. Faith gives you the boldness to expect what you cannot yet see. Hope restores your vision, enabling you to dream again, to believe again, to live again. Through faith, you discover that even in brokenness, beauty can emerge. Even in loss, gain can be found. Even in the ashes, God can create something glorious. Hope restored through faith is evidence that no darkness is strong enough to extinguish the light that God has placed within you. It is the proof that your story is still unfolding under the care of a faithful God. Beloved, as we have journeyed through the valleys of tears and risen into the strength of hope, let this truth remain engraved in your heart. Not a single tear has been wasted, and not a single moment of your pain has been overlooked. The Lord has seen every silent cry, every restless night, every moment when you thought you could not go on. He has kept account of your tears, and He has promised to transform them into rivers of joy, which the enemy meant for harm, God will use for good. He is the one who restores what was broken, lifts the weary, and breathes life into places you thought were dead. Your tears are not the end of your story. They are the soil from which miracles will bloom. Hope is not a fragile dream. It is the anchor of your soul. Through faith, that hope is renewed, strengthened, and made unshakable. When you cannot see the way forward, faith whispers, trust Him still, and hope answers, the dawn is coming. As you leave this moment, carry with you the assurance that your God is faithful. He who has carried you through the night will bring you into the light. Your heart will rejoice again, your mouth will sing again, and your life will shine again. Thank you for opening your heart to receive these words today. May the Lord wipe away your tears, restore your hope, and fill your future with peace and victory. Stay strong in faith, keep holding on to hope, and never forget you are deeply loved and never forgotten. God bless you, God strengthen you, and may His favor surround you like a shield. Amen.